come to the open house, listen. Some people have some interesting scenarios that they're talking through that we have to deal with. So that's always fun. But where we're at right now in the market, I don't have to probably explain that to you as, I don't know, Patty, how do I do the slides? I'll let you do that. Is, look, we still have a lack of inventory in the whole state of Connecticut. That's not going to go away. I know I live in West Hartford. I know there's 17,000 apartments being built in the center of West Hartford right now, and we'll have 47,000 more cars. But that's a trend everywhere. We have apartment buildings going up all across the state. Again, we have a lack of housing in the state of Connecticut. Now, what's that done is, we all know, home prices are still going up. Home prices are going up about 5–6% still because we have a lack of inventory. So we're going to continue to see that. We've seen a little bit of a uptick in houses. We've also seen, you probably noticed, boy, sometimes some of these listings don't have 30 offers on it and they're not sold in a day. What I'm starting to see in the market is, if you're at the average sale price and below, 10 offers, going to sell in a couple of days. But if your average sale price in your town is, say, $500,000, you got a $700,000 house, that house might be a little bit longer. Really, really important. If you're going out to, whether you're on a listing, go out and look what is in that micro part of your market. 50,000 below, 50,000 above. See what your competition has. See what's going on. Is it selling less than list price? Or is it still 104% of list price? Or is it back down to 96% like it always was? See what your competition is. See what's $50,000 lower, 50,000 above. Or you might, as I was working with an agent yesterday, we were looking at a condo. There wasn't one condo in this town that sold in 8 months within $100,000. There's no comps. So you make sure you look at that. But then also you might go into the upper end of your market and there might be 3, 4, 5 houses. I know in my neighborhood, there's a house that was listed by another company. And I think they overpriced the house. It's been on the market for 2 weeks. That's kind of unheard of in West Hartford for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath mortgage. So, again, make sure you're looking at pricing. It's just not all going up. Again, we're going to see appreciation, but you got to look at what's going on in that town, in that price point, and sometimes in a bigger town, in that little district that they're in, because that can affect people. The other thing that we're seeing too is, look, and we're going to have the mortgage is going to talk a little bit. Mortgage rates, we all know the Fed's cut the rates, or hopefully going to cut them again. The mortgage rates came down. It was kind of built in already, folks, let's be honest. And the rates really haven't dropped significantly from where they were 2 months ago. But guess what? Consumer confidence, rates are lower. Let me go out and buy. I'll spend more buying power. Let's do this, let's do that. Again, good for us. Another thing we're seeing in the market is, and this has always happened, I've had my real estate license since my dad made me do it in 1996. Every time there's an election, presidential election, we always have a little bit of a lull. So I feel like we're in a little bit of a lull right now. We're seeing that, but again, if you have a home price right, it's going to go. Was it you, Rick, that said you had a price that was home price, 22 offers on it, and somebody earlier said they had an offer, they had a home and 22 offers on it, like that, first day. So you're still going to see that. You're still going to see that in the winter. We all know in Connecticut what's going to happen. We're going to have winter. It's going to be here. And we always have our slowest months of the year. We're back in a cyclical market. January, February are our slowest months of the year. So we all know what we're doing. We're going to have this. And then all of a sudden in March, we start seeing more listings come on. And we go into April, May, June, and July. I've said this, if I repeat myself, and you already heard this, I think we're going to have a really colder, more difficult winter this year. I have a very, very acute scientific method to this. And I've been right like 95% of the time. When we have a lot of acorns in the yard, we get a lot of snow when it's cold. When I don't have a lot of acorns and the squirrels aren't everywhere, it's really not that bad. I've got squirrels everywhere, acorns everywhere, they're digging holes everywhere, and when you step on an acorn, they don't feel good. I even get hit in my head walking around the backyard. All right. So I think we're going to get a lot of winter because the squirrels are coming.
There were loads of squirrels last year.
But I didn't have the acorns last year. So again, we're going into those winter months. Does that mean less inventory, which means home prices might continue to still go up even more than they're going? So what we're anticipating now is, we know what the market we're in. You need to get in front of consumers. People still are going to buy and sell. We know that, right? They're going to get married. They're going to get divorced. They're going to have kids. Their family's going to grow. Their kids are all going to go to college. They're going to decide to do 6 months in a day in Florida or South Carolina. They're gonna go to New Hampshire, they're gonna go to Vermont, they're gonna go to Maine, they're gonna move. People move. People get new jobs. They have more money to spend. They redo stuff in their house. They buy a bigger house. They buy a smaller house. They want a house with a pool. They want a house on a cul-de-sac. They want all these different things. So people are gonna move. So that's gonna happen. We gotta get in front of them. And that's what we'll talk about. We're gonna continue to talk about that for the next few weeks, is make sure everything you do today is going to affect your first quarter next year. But here's the thing. Inventory is gonna get tighter in the winter. That's a fact. It always happens. Which also means because our buyer demand is still at 15 showings per contract, home prices are gonna go up. There's still a lot of buyers out there, and when they see the rates and they get all excited, they jump off their couch and they're gonna buy. So there's a lot of people still on the sidelines. There's a lot of people on the sidelines. There's a lot of baby boomers that haven't sold. There's a lot of millennials that still wanna buy. And guess what? They make a lot of money. They can afford to buy. And they're gonna borrow from their parents, they're gonna do different things and do different things. So here's what we're gonna see. Again, winter months, inventory is gonna get a little bit tighter. Great time to list if you're talking to people, less competition, and homes look great during the holidays. You turn all the lights on at 5 o'clock, they drive up to a house with all lights, some fall leaves maybe, everything looks good. Great time to list. Buyers, get out there and buy. If somebody puts their house on the market December 1st, they're serious about selling. They're not waiting till spring to mulch the yard and the tulips come up. They want to sell now. Great time to buy. They're telling you they want to buy. So the market isn't really going to be anything we need to really say, wow, we're in a massive shift. We're not here in Connecticut. When we start seeing inventory really start building up, again, then we need to know. But that's why it's important to make sure you're looking at your specific town you're working in and that price point. Because there are some pockets where all of a sudden there's 6, 7, 8 houses on the market in that price point. That's no longer maybe a seller's market in that price point. But then 100 grand more, there's one. So those buyers are coming down to the lower price point to buy. So just know here we are with the stats. You can kind of see, I'm not going to go over everything, but you can see a little uptick in listings. We've seen that, right? Again, the pending sales, because listings will take a little bit more, the pending sales will catch up with that. And guess what we've seen? Here comes the average sale price, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And that's just Hartford County. The average sale price in the state, we're pushing $600,000. $600,000 in the state. I was in Enfield last month and we were talking about that. A couple of years ago, we were talking about average sale price in Enfield of $234, $250, oh my God, it's going to push through. It's $100,000 more than it was a year. $100,000. A $260, $250 house is now $350. And if we sit there and go, oh, $350 is a pretty good deal. That's where we're at. And all of us who remember we're in the market, I can remember that from about 2008-9, right up until COVID, I don't think there was much appreciation going on. Homes were kind of flat. You had some go up, some go down, but they were pretty flat. We're getting it all at once. And it's come now in the last 5 years, and it's going to continue to go. So again, know your stats in your town. When you're going out and looking at a condo, a certain home, what it looks like. Making sure people, if they were pre-approved 3 months ago, get them pre-approved again today. It's a whole different world. And if they're pre-approved last week, get them pre-approved by AllPoints again, because they might have a whole different product that gets them into a house or makes it more advantageous than to get it. And if you got a legal question, don't call Ryan Kelly or myself, call Larry. All right. He was walking out of the room, so that's why I wanted to get it. But know what's going on in the stack. This is not a crazy shifting market we've seen in Florida. It's a buyer's market. There's 3 years of inventory on in condo market down there. So here we are what we are right now. And again, we're still close to New York. We're still close to Boston. We still have lake houses, Litchfield County, and beach houses. We've got a dynamic market in the state of Connecticut that will never change. Knock on wood. So we want to keep that, pushing that, and it's a great place to be. But tell people, home prices are going to go up. If a buyer tells you I'm waiting for the prices to come down, good. I'm waiting until I play for the Celtics. All right. So make sure you're talking to people. Look, home prices need to go up. You don't have inventory. When we start seeing that, then you're going to have to time the market. Home prices coming down. I don't know what rates are going to do. They could be up. They could be down. You're going to time it and compete with all the other buyers trying to buy. Good luck. Great time to buy, because if you're still buying and home prices are still going up, there's still appreciation in there, and we all know what rents are doing. Rents are through the roof. So buy some equity instead of spending. I mean, the rents in here, what are the rents in here now? $2,800 for a 1 bedroom. Yes, you got free coffee.
That's even worse.
And how much is Starbucks now, right? So 2 free cars, $10, I don't know, I'd still probably buy a house, better than dealing with Starbucks. Okay, ask for Starbucks gift cards for the holidays and your birthday. So here's where the stats are, make sure know your numbers, folks. Because as we get into the next slide, all right, goes into everything that you want to talk about. And well, it's the next slide, but don't say that, because we're gonna talk about this, is look, and Ryan's gonna talk about your value, is look, when you're talking about value and everything like that, if I'm meeting with Deb and I'm saying, oh, if I sit there and tell Deb, average price per square foot, what's going on in the market, all these different things, that gives me a value to know what I'm worth, that I'm gonna get like 3%, 2.5%. But if I don't know anything what's going on in the market, it hurts. So we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, and Ryan's gonna touch on that, we're talking about it before. Publicizing buyer concessions, want to talk about this. Some of you have maybe seen, and we just talked about this a little bit, have seen some agents putting in comments, seller willing to pay buyer concessions. Selling with offer, whatever the exact verbiage is, but you get my point. Kelly reached out to the MLS and said, whoa, is this good? And they're like, no, it's a concession. So instantly we all sat there and said, what do we do with this? We all sat there and said, well, first off, if Carl was selling his house for $500,000 and that was out there and the agent did, I'm a real estate agent. What is he saying to me? I'll take less than my list price. Right off the bat, I already know that I can get a better deal than what they're listing the property at because his agent just said he'll offer a concession. 1, 2, is something wrong with the house? Is there a roof, heater, something wrong with the house? Going in my head as an agent, that's what I'm thinking. 3, Patty, you want to buy the house? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask the seller to pay the 2.5%, and let's get a $5,000 concession to pay for closing costs. We'll get a really good deal. Now, all of a sudden, Carl's agent's going, well, the concession I thought was for the commission, and now we've got, no, you tipped your cards. There's no reason to put a concession out there unless the concession is specific, like we're going to give a $10,000 concession for a roof or something like that. Because if not, I'd be making that offer, asking for my commission, and $5,000 credit at closing for closing costs, a new driveway, a new roof, something. I highly recommend you don't do this. You're really, as a listing agent, you are trying to get the best for yourself. That's your client. That's your fiduciary responsibilities too. Unless your seller is literally telling you to do this, I'd be advising no, because we're already showing one of our cards now. We're showing a card. We may not be showing our whole hand, but we've shown a card. And I don't want to show any cards. I want to sit there and say, give me your offer. Give me your best offer. Send me what you want. Let's see what it looks like. And then I'll compare anything else. And I'll negotiate with that. So it's out there. It's not on everyone. I've seen it. And I've seen it 2 times from one company. So I don't know if it's one office talking about it, a couple agents talking about it because it's in Hartford County. But I'd really stick away from this. Again, you're the listing agent, you're looking out for your client as the seller. That's where future responsibilities are too. If this is your way to try to get around a commission conversation, it's probably not the best way to do it. Secondly, because you can literally just have a conversation. Or 2, if you want the best deal from your seller, you want to attract as many offers as you can and get the most money as you can with the least amount of concessions. Not all of a sudden. So if you see out there, it is out there. Don't be alarmed. You know, if you have questions, reach out to us, but don't be alarmed about it. And I highly recommend you do it. Next slide. All right. Know your value. You can see I probably don't need another coffee. Not bad.
I'm closing for right to see the area.
Okay, we handed this out to everybody, and it's our buyer representation book. And I think it's important to go through it. It's a Moxie presentation. You can customize it for you. There's a little customization on C21, but you can individually customize it. We'll do it for you with marketing team. But this is really what it's all about. I want you to start. We talked about this before this meeting started. About we've been seeing a lot of 2% out there on the buyer, and it really, when it comes down to it, it's about running your own business. That's what you're doing. And you know, if you're used to making $100,000 by taking the 2% that are out there, you're going to now make $60,000. You're used to making, you know, $200,000. You're going to make $120,000. It's going to hit you in the pocketbook. And we need to treat this as a business, because one thing I know is expenses haven't gone down. You know, expenses are going up. So you need to earn. Three, four, five, six, and seven, and eight. 1,000 homes before they get one. You deserve 5, 6, 7, 8%. So a couple things that we've seen. We've seen that when it's written into the contract at 3%, that there are a lot of sellers that are paying. Okay, we can see that your buyer brokers, and a lot of them might say 3%, but you end up taking 2. And it's right off the bat, you think. Not that you're writing it in and they're rejecting their contract. It's that you're writing to because someone said they are offering to. You know, I think you have to be careful. And you really have to look at it as because it will affect you. It's going to affect money coming into the company and things that we want to do or can't do because, you know, this is what we're doing. So the first thing that we have to look at is selling it to the consumer. And the consumer in this case is really the buyer. Okay. And a wise man once told me, you have to earn the right to represent. Process. And when I was just selling real estate, you know, I would do an open house and everyone I knew there, I would say, you know, they might say, oh, I saw a couple of houses with an agent, but I'm not working with them. Well, let me ask you this, did your agent have you come in the office and go through the whole process? So you know, step by step by step by step, what's going to happen? You know that we're going to negotiate a home inspection. I'm gonna do a CMA on the house to figure out what the price is. Then we're gonna talk about pricing strategy, all that kind of stuff. And 90% of the time they say no. No one ever. I would love that. You know. Probably 70% of the time I have an appointment after to work with that buyer. And that buyer is going to be yours till the end because you've earned the right to represent. You've done the professional thing and done a presentation. I think that's really what the differential here in this market. We have to pick it up and do the professional thing. We have to be professional, and professionals earn money. Okay? And they don't, you know, that's why, you know, Larry's a professional attorney and he's like $7,000 an hour. Because he knows this stuff. He's always available. He's always available. And you know, Kelly's willing to pay it. So, you know, that's what it's got to be ingrained. And so we need to go through this presentation. We need to be comfortable with the presentation so that it rolls off your tongue, you know, so that you can do it without looking. Okay, but you know, you have to have a conversation, and buyers deserve a real conversation to discuss the entire what's going on in the marketplace, what that property is, what you're going to do, and that you charge 3% or more. Okay, and we've seen, as Jody just said, in a CHFA deal, someone was paying 2 or 2.5%, the seller, and the agent is charging 0.5% or half a percent to the buyer, and they're paying. Okay, so sometimes it's fear that keeps us away from asking. I'm saying ask it, at least ask it once, and I think you're going to have a totally different look on this student. You know, you're going to earn what you're.
In those states that have not a buyer broker,
Yes.
when we have a willingness. Do you have any tips for any of those, like Florida, like of what those individuals are doing? Because I don't have trouble asking, but I know I've talked to a lot of agents from with themselves, and it's disturbing.
But the interesting thing is in Florida, I'll just jump on this and then. And then, we'll get some other thoughts on it, but in Florida, most of those people. Are coming from states that have it. Okay, so we've had, so consumers are, the agents are concerned about having that conversation. And when it starts, we have many of them say, oh, we have it, we know what that is, we'll fine, we're ready. Okay, but it's almost like we used to do in 1996, this all started with us. We should have that script, but we took the easy way. You know, it just happened. Now we got to earn it, and consumer deserves it. They deserve to know what you do, and they deserve to have the very best of what you have to offer, and that's at least percent. At least. Kelly, any examples in Florida? You've heard?
I think you said most of the agents work. Some of what you're saying is most of the consumers are coming
From other areas that already have that.
And our agents, while, you know, we've been having the same conversations with them, they're nervous just like you, but they're asking for it and they're getting it and they sometimes can't believe it. You know, the same as we're experiencing here. So, you know, I think it helps that it's across the country for them. They have no choice. They do have a little easier stepping choice there. They can do a showing agreement before they go straight to buyer broker. But most of our agents are going, you know, having the conversation, going straight to buyer broker. I think we had a little conversation before most of you got here. PJ was working with an agent down there and the agent called the listing agent. They said, we're offering 2%. My buyer broker is 3%. What do I do? PJ's like, write it up. So he wrote up the offer with 3% buyer broker being paid by the seller. And the agent said, I told you it was 2%. He said, did you present my offer? They said, no. Well, you need to present my offer. So he presented the offer and the seller accepted and he got 3%. So it's just, you know, pushing through. But again, like Ryan said, it's asking for it. It's not just, you know, being afraid. You can be afraid, but you know what? What do we do when we're afraid? We put one step in front of the other, we move forward, we do what's got to get done. So
I think it's the same thing as if you're going on a listing presentation. And there are agents in this company, they get 6% or 6.5% every single time. Because that's what they do. They don't even flinch, but there's a lot of people who go right to that box. It's talking about value, what you offer. If the consumer fight you on commissions is that they don't understand what the value is. They miss the value. So if you're saying your fees sit in a normal situation, 6%, or your listing is 3%, and they say, well, I don't know, you've got to go through the value. So I charge 3%. I don't want to pay 3%, I want to pay 2.5%. Well, let's go over what I do. Right? Because they didn't understand that.
Right?
Yeah.
If I could add, we're just starting to see the closings, like we have one tomorrow. The buyer broker agreement was 3%. The seller's only willing to pay 2.25%, and the buyer's paying 3/4. And it's just starting to happen, but like we have one tomorrow at 11 o'clock where this is happening, and they're not complaining. Okay. Whether they can or not is the question.
Well, we're getting the question, right? So on the mortgage side, we're getting the question, how do we account for the difference and how does it change the cash flow? But like Larry said, people are starting to do it. We're seeing it more and more often. So same reason why I'm willing to pay Larry $7,000. It's all worth value. The theme is value.
well, and I'll just say there's a couple people in this room even who for the past 10 years have been getting 3% if their buyer broker pays 3%. That they've been taking the 2.5% or whatever's offered from the co-broke and they've been charging the buyer the extra. So it's not, you know, while Larry's seeing it more and more, there are agents who know that their buyer broker is what it is, and if the seller pays some, the seller pays some, otherwise the buyer.
And the differential that Kelly mentioned is simply that you as the agent don't believe that you're worth 3%. That's the difference. Okay, and I don't know who it is that we're talking about, but I know that there are people in this company that if consumers, if they can't convince them that they're 3%, and they, I don't know, they don't work. But if we're gonna stay in business, each other, we need to charge what we're worth. We need to believe it and we need to sell it. We're in a sales business. We're not undercutting ourselves.
Well, and I'll just say it is, it can be scary, and if you've never done a buyer consultation, it's new. So, and a lot of this is new for a lot of us. So, this is why, as PJ mentioned before, we have these meetings. We have the company-wide meeting once a month. We have every Wednesday at 9:30 town hall talks where we can get together, whether it's one of us on it, 100 of us on it. These are the conversations that we're having. So you want to know your value, let's all practice together. Let's all role play. Let's all learn the
So
scripts.
how about we do this tomorrow? Are we doing
Yeah,
role play? We'll do role play. We'll do the buyer presentation on our town hall. 9:30. Anyone wants to see it happen and interact with it?
You're the buyer's agent, she's the buyer.
Sure. Sure.
All right, we're taking bets who's gonna win this now.
We gotta get her pre-qualified first.
We've been trying for a long time.
like 4 years.
Don't worry, I'll send you a pre-approval letter before tomorrow.
Thank you.
Next one. So sure, so this is just like a CMA. It's in Moxie Present. It's in there, your bio will print out, not the sample one. But if you want to enhance this, if you do drone photography, if you do staging, if you do whatever, you want to add stuff about your awards, you want to add your bio, you want to add your reviews, that sort of stuff, real satisfied. Just get in touch with your together the template, drop it in Moxie for you so that every time you go into print, it'll be in there. It's just going to be named buyer presentation. Then, that's your templated one you could use for everybody.
Can you put that on the screen for the agents?
That's there? So just tell me if it clicked out.
Yes.
There we go. So, so this comes in, this bio pushes automatically in from what you have in Moxie. If there's no bio information, we need to add it in Dash. That's pulling from Dash. So if you just want to have this bio, but if you have an enhanced one that you want, we can PDF it and drop it into your template. Then you could add in your reviews, anything like that. And then it talks about the company, and then it goes through, home preferences. So this, you sit down with your buyer and say, let's go through what you're looking for. You fill it out together, that sort of value. And it just really goes through the whole process here for you. It gives them valuable information, it taught how to get started, that sort of thing, gives them key terms, the buyer process. Now this sheet here, it looks confusing. It's meant to look confusing. We have a script behind this as well that we can get out to you guys that tells you how to explain this. And not to try to confuse the buyer, but to share your value. They're looking at this going, holy cow, this is a really bad process. How I need somebody to help me. And the script adds your value to how to get through the process. Some agents have their own buyer process that are really clean and simple and look great. When you're trying to show your value, I say the more confusing the better. I don't mean to confuse the buyer, but you want to make sure every step is in there. And then it talks about approximate buyer's cost. So closing costs. So, it's a good tool to use, and it's your walkthrough. When you sit down with somebody, you don't have to know the presentation off your head. If you're looking at the page, it's right there. You can talk to it. You guys are all in this business and some of the best agents here online and here in the room. So you'll be able to make it your presentation by just seeing what page you're talking about. So reach out to your marketing coordinator if you want to add anything in, go in, it's under Moxie Present, create a new presentation, choose buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, and then it's the second one down.
And Patty did a great video on how to do it. But the one thing you can also do is save it as a web page.
Yes.
Put it in your email signature.
Yeah, you can email it, you can save it as,
For my client.
exactly. You can save it as a digital, you can email out, you can post it, you can If you bring it into Canva, you can create a web page and then you can put it on your Moxie website as well.
This is good.
Yeah, so you want to grab that.
Moxie number.
Yeah, and it's very usable. It's very simple, but I would say take advantage of it.
I should add one more thing. So, you know, having this kind of consultation with the buyer, things in the relationship, reminded me of something that Kelly and I did a few years back, maybe 2010. Kelly and I had the fortunate opportunity to sell a buyer in the state of Connecticut that could afford any. I called her a private banker in Greenwich, and he said she could afford anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was 28 years old, so we bought a house in Avon, Connecticut. She bought a house in North. Yeah, for $5 million, and she bought his extra lot for $500,000. And he didn't want to pay us on the extra lot. She said, "I'm not buying this place unless you pay on the whole purchase price." So that talks about, you know, when you have a relationship, the buyer wants you to win. Not to earn your money. And, you know, certainly Kelly and I would have closed at $5 million. But it was nice to, a little bit more. So tomorrow morning, 9:30.
Sure, so, besides our script playing tomorrow, we're going to have, actually on, this is C21 University, right? Classes, on October 25th at 11 a.m., they're doing winning with buyers 301 owning objections. So they're gonna have objection handling, some agents, talking about the questions most asked. This is an hour-long class, so put it on your calendar. They're also going over seller strategies, so offers of compensation. So obviously this is something that we're talking to our sellers about, whether they're paying the compensation up front, their listing agreement, or you're gonna see what happens then. You know, this is just about talking it through with the sellers, how they're gonna be paying compensation, for the buyer's agent possibly, moving forward, and what the best strategy for that is. That's on the 18th. And we just went over the buyer presentation. Again, if you can't find it, just raise your hand, will help you. Also customizing it and things like Jody talked about, putting it as a link on your email signature. Don't be like, I don't know how to do that, or spend 5 hours doing it. Just raise your hand and we can help you with that. Again, this is our town hall talks. We do this for Connecticut every Wednesday at 9:30, except when we have a company-wide meeting. Everyone is welcome. Tomorrow we have our script, but usually it's just an open forum. We will have a topic to talk about, but it's the time for you guys. You know, something happened, you didn't call us to ask us about it immediately, something going on out in the marketplace. Talk with each other, strategize, keep our mindset in the right place. So please join us. It's a quick half hour, again, every Wednesday at 9:30. Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about. I have a couple of notes here. Everyone, if you didn't sign up, there is a QR code on the door. This is the 21-day challenge, okay? I know we've done this before, you've heard of it before, but this is the final quarter of the year. And the most important thing is that we stay focused. There are so many distractions this time of the year. And to be honest, a lot of agents check out. They're checked out, they're shopping and eating and drinking and doing all these fun things. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing that, because we should. But what I'm saying is that this time of year is a great opportunity. And why? Because less of us are working. So those of us who stay focused, stay disciplined, still have some fun, but work, you will have not only a great fourth quarter, but you will have a better year next year. This goes every year, but I talk about it all the time. So this 21-day challenge that Century 21 Corporate is putting on is perfect timing. It is from October 28th to November 25th. October 23rd is a 1-hour informational session before the official start on the 28th sign up for this program. I signed up this morning. I don't know why, but I got like 35 emails from C21 saying I signed up. So I'm not sure if I signed up 35 of you. Oh, I feel bad. I was like, I feel like when I send out my daily emails, they all come back to me and there's like 500 emails to delete saying I got rejected. You know what? Want to talk about rejection? Try sending an email call. So just to give you a quick synopsis of what this is, and again, this is to keep us going, but you're going to receive daily updates. This is ideas and help to connect you with your network and sphere. So they give us like little daily challenges, things that we should be putting into practice and working on. They give you updates, talk tracks to help give you confidence in having your conversations and meet new people to talk to every day. You'll get access to additional learning opportunities to enhance your sales, negotiation, prospecting, and communication skills. Also, on these calls, you'll get to hear and share from other successful agents, not just from this company, but from across the country. It's for brand new or very experienced agents. Everyone can benefit from the 21-day challenge. In fact, yesterday, Patty said one of our top agents in Stratford signed up for this. So register today. Like I said, I signed up. If we have a good group, which is, 2 to 100 of you, I will do special calls if you want to, so that we can get together in a smaller scale and share and root each other on. But right now, more than any other time of year, it's really all about activities and taking action. So a lot of us talk about what we're going to do. It's Sunday. What are you going to do next week? What are you going to do tomorrow? And then tomorrow comes and you say, maybe I'll start the next day. It's really about the activities and the action, guys. So let's do it. The more of us that do it, the better. Again, I will, take the group of you who do it and we can cheer each other on, group, compete, whatever you guys want to do. So sign up. Again, there's a QR code on the signs. They'll be in your offices too.
And I look at it this way. I mean, it's 21 days. And, do you have a plan in place to get a listing within 21 days? This is probably going to get you there the best way to have a listing within 21 days.
Good. Any questions, reach out to me. I'll be the ringleader cheerleader. Great. Probably want to talk about business planning for.
I think I was just gonna say, listen, if you guys, if, now is the time to start putting in place for 2025 business planning. He said to reach out to you guys, your sales manager, get a plan in place. We have a template to go through and now is the time to start thinking about it.
And we will also have some in-office meetings and Zoom meetings to go through business planning. Some of you like to do it individually, which you can reach out to us. We'll help you with. Some of you like to do it in group format. So again, yes, October, we're already heading into the second half of October, so we're late, but business planning should start now.
And all I would add is that, we've looked at kind of the marketplace. It was a tough beginning of the year. And I can see already, ever since August 17th, there's been more deals being put together on the buyer side. So things, I think with the rate drop and things happening, the market's opening up a smidgen more. Things are going under positive. So your business plan, you should plan on an increase for next year. Look at this year's plan, see how, if you're off or ahead or whatever, and add it into next year. So we'll talk about it too, but reach out to them.
Larry. All right, Joanne, start his timer now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Garfinkel from Green Law, and I've been working with the Petersons for, someone asked me today how long I've been working, and I said, I don't remember. It's been that long. One thing that I wanted to point out that you guys might not be aware of when Ryan was talking about knowing your worth. So something new with the NAR settlement, I have actually at closings had sellers say to me when I'm going over the figures, show me where the seller's getting, the agent's getting paid. And I thought they were checking to make sure the number was right. No, they want to be sure the seller's agent is getting paid. Now, the sellers, this is usually the sellers that's saying that. I've had buyers do it too, but
Oh, you
a lot of them,
make sure their agents.
yeah. So like they're not trusting that with the new system that you guys are getting paid, and they're asking me to show them that you're actually getting, they're like, we want to make sure our agents are getting, our agent got paid. Can you show me where it is? So see, you actually do have a lot more worth and value than you think you do. So
Normally the biggest number on the page, so their eye goes right through.
you know what? They don't even look at the number. They're just looking to make sure there is a number, which I was thinking the same thing. That's what I was
Okay.
thinking. I was totally thinking the same thing. I just wanted to mention a couple of things about the way closings are done today, because I think there's still some confusion that I would think people would know, but since they keep asking questions, I figured I'd just run through it quickly. So, we still close the way we started doing it when COVID was rampant. We don't all get together in the same room anymore, or most of you should probably know that because you've been to closings. But we have the sellers pre-signing, right? So it's kind of not right, it's really a signing, not pre-signing, but they can sign any time before the closing. It could be the day before, it could be 2 weeks before. So we're much more flexible when it comes to things like vacation schedules or work schedules. If they're only off on a Wednesday, fine, we can do that. It makes it a lot easier for us to schedule them in, and they seem to be liking that, really. There's no remote signing in the state of Connecticut, right? So you cannot sign a deed and you cannot sign a mortgage remotely. You have to be in person in front of a notary or an attorney. I still get that question all the time when there's sellers that are out of state or buyers who have a vacation planned or a work trip and they have to sign out of state. We can accommodate all those things, but we can't do it remotely. That does not exist. James and I are also involved in the Connecticut Mortgage Bankers Association and Legislative Committee, and we're told that 2025 we're going to get that, but stranger things have happened. So I don't know, but that's possible. So basically, we meet with the sellers up front. We get them to sign all their documents when we're representing the sellers, right? The seller signs the documents. We're ready to go. We overnight those documents to the buyer's attorney right before the closing. Sometimes we hand deliver them. Usually we overnight them. And then the day of the closing, they're just going to wire the money back to us, right? And then we wire to the seller, which they love. Okay. Money shows up in their account, all easy. The hard part is when. Right? The timing can be difficult. So what I tell people is 90% of the time, the seller's going to get their money the day of the closing. But about 10% of the time, it's going to some banks go to 6 o'clock. Some banks only go to 3 o'clock. So late afternoon closings can sometimes jeopardize whether the seller is going to get their money or not that day. So we try and manage that in our office. But as an example, on Friday, and by the way, that 90-10 number goes in the wrong direction whenever it's a Friday, and it goes way in the wrong direction when it's a holiday weekend, right? So if the banks are closed on Monday, you can bet we're going to have a problem. So on Friday, we had a closing where we were arguing over, Joanne, how much, I forget how much we were, $5,000, right? Arguing over $5,000 escrow. By the time the other attorney agreed to it, and then he wired to us, we didn't get the money on Friday. In fact, we got the money this morning. So the buyer would not be able to move into their house until today, right? So that's not comfortable. So especially when you see that people really need to get in, if you're representing a buyer and they really need to get in the house on whatever day it is, we need to make sure that we're scheduling it appropriately. Same way, if the seller really needs that money, they're buying another house or they're moving to Florida or North Carolina or whatever, then we need to make sure that we're scheduling it appropriately, which we can do, but we just need to be aware of it. Keys, that becomes an issue. How do we get the keys, right? So typically, if there's a lockbox, then we just tell them, leave the one key in the lockbox, let the seller leave the rest of the keys on the kitchen counter or wherever, and then we're good. Sometimes it involves you guys more than it did before, because they're not all come to the closing and can't hand the keys over, right? But we just have to talk about that up front. What else do we need to do? We do closings when people are out of state, both buyers and sellers. Depending on who it is how we work it, right? Because there's more documents to sign when you're the seller. I'm sorry, when you're the buyer. So with a buyer, we send a notary out. They pay for it, we don't pay for it. they pay for that. And it's not $7,000, by the way. I don't know where that started. It's only $6,000. No, anyway, so if we're representing a buyer, we send a notary out to meet with them, a notary that knows how to do closings. They meet with them, we can get signed documents back and we can make the closing happen. When it's a seller that's out of state, they can just go to a bank or town hall or wherever they can find a notary. It's not too hard. So these are just some of the things that we like to think about. Keep in mind how that works. And I guess that's it. So if you have any other questions, we'll be around. Joanne is my paralegal. She's over here today. And if you have any questions, come see us afterwards. Thank you.
Is there anyone after me? I could just go right to the end. Is that? No, I'm kidding. Hi, everyone. Any of you that don't know, James Moran, president at AllPoints on the mortgage side. I think my theme is just going to be along with what everyone else talked about, right? Value. How do we add value? And our whole existence is to add value. I mean, part of the reason why Ryan Kelly and I and Beverly started this was to add value back to you guys. So that's supposed to be a value add, and value comes in a plethora of ways, right? The question I get most often is, hey, what are your rates? That's the most commoditized question we could ever get because it's all relative of where we go and what we're doing. And I joke with Carl even earlier, how much is a house, right? No one of you can answer that question. How much is a house? Because it depends. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the square footage? Same thing on our side, right? How much money are they putting down? What's their FICO score? What's their scenario, their liabilities and everything else? But listen, trust me, we have a commitment. What we're doing, where we're talking about adding value, part of our value, I mean, we should almost be on the backside of this, right? We want to help you guys do more buyer presentations. One of the things you guys should be selling is we actually have a commitment. Some of you were in the room earlier when PJ did airline analogy, and he was doing a comparison between Spirit Airlines and Delta and all the different. We committed to sort of having Spirit and Southwest prices and rates, but giving amenities like the other top line airlines. So if you guys are trying to sell your worth and trying to sell 3%, one of the things you should be selling is the fact that by working with our mortgage, all being in one house, part of the family, we're committed to get you lower points, because if they're going to pay an extra 3/4 of that's not part of the buyer broker scenario, why not save them some money on another scenario? So we actually created an AllPoints family discount. And what that is if anyone sends us an LE or a CD, we're going to meet and exceed those fees. Karen and I were having a conversation. She goes, you want to see the CD? And I was just blown away watching some of the other lenders and what their costs and their fees. And sometimes there's different ways that the mortgage companies will manipulate some of this stuff. They'll go, oh, we're getting you 6%. But oh, by the way, if you look at the fees, Karen's buyer was getting 6%, but they were paying a full 1.5 in discount points to get that. Oh, by the way, their processing fee was $1,000 more than ours.
Over there.
And all of the other things that go. So just be mindful of the value. If you guys want to add us to these buyer presentations, we'll give you whatever information. Yes, Howard.
Schedule showing your fees in comparison to some of the other things that are out there. So
yes. And that's part of it up front, right? I know people are coming in with pre-approval letters. If we have an LE, we're giving a guaranteed at least $500 less on any of the fees. So if we have something we can match and exceed it, why not save your buyers some additional funds, especially if they're paying for a home inspection, right? People are paying $700 for a home inspection, even though they waived the home inspection. Why not help them get that money back by saving them a couple $100 or thousands of dollars? I mean, some of these rate scenarios we've looked at, it's thousands and tens of thousands of dollars over the life alone. Remember, they want the house. They want the thing you guys are selling. No one wants the mortgage, right? Where it's just sort of a necessary evil because these home prices keep going up, that if they need to finance some portion of it, why not get them the best deal? So yeah, we can definitely put a few scenarios side by side, lender A, lender B, but each and every company is slightly different. So it's hard, but we can do definitely a side-by-side comparison. But if you want to add it as value add to you guys, part of the reason why Ryan and Kelly created a mortgage side is to add value back to you. So you guys might as well take advantage of it. And the value for us comes in all shapes and sizes, right? It's not just, hey, what's the rate? It's the fees. It's when I get a phone call at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, nights, weekends, that's adding value because we're doing pre-approvals when you guys want them or need them, right? Talking to a buyer. We're doing so much right now of what I call rescue deals, where it's somewhere else, and then I get a call. Frame, oh, when's your mortgage commitment date? Today. And it's like, wait, hold on, like what? We could fix those up front. So part of the value is not only the accessibility and the availability. We have a couple people in the room, Paul's in the back over there, Cliff's over here, John, but we have more team members and we're going to continue adding. So someone is always going to be available to you guys, regardless of when you need it, nights, weekends. We'll continue to do the rescue deals, but my hope and goal is to get it in front. Back to this process, we don't want these borrowers getting confused on what this process looks like. Just like on the mortgage side of things, we want to lay things out. They're going through a stressful transaction. We want them to feel comfortable each and every step of the way. They don't know how much money they need. They don't know what their closing costs are going to be. They're packing up their house. Sometimes they're selling one house, buying another house. They don't know about schools. We want the mortgage process to be as smooth and easy for them, just like you guys, right? You guys don't want to hear anything. It's just tell me, did we meet mortgage contingency? Are we clear to close? Okay, good to go. So we want to add value and it comes in other ways, right? So availability, accessibility, programs, I think is another one. We've been talking quite a bit about certain products and programs we have access to that a lot of the other banks and lenders don't have access to. Cliff on the company-wide meeting gave an example where he was able to save a buyer $8,000 just by doing the mortgage with us because we did a lender-funded buy down. I know that at different times we've talked about using seller concessions or other things to do a buy down to get lower rates or lower fees. This one happened to be a lender-paid buy down. So the borrower, Cliff locked him in at 5.5. And for the first year they had, or it was 5.99. 5.99 for the first year, they had a subsidy where it was 2% lower. So they had 3.99 for the first year. And then the second year they had 4.99. And then it was a 30-year fixed at 5.99. For the first 2 years, that subsidy saved them $8,000 in this example, just by doing a loan with us when they were going with someone else and not getting it. They were getting the saved 5.99, but they didn't have the availability to do this lender-funded buy down. So again, products and programs is one thing, and it's also our ability to pivot. 75 to 80% of the transactions do go what's like happy flow. They just flow right through, but it's when a problem exists, when our value.
I'm on my way there. You
prevalent.
there?
They could see me, but most prevalent, right? Back to the rescuing of the deals. If something comes up and it inevitably comes up, we could pivot to other solutions, other mortgage companies, other investors, lenders, because we are an independent brokerage, which means we're not dealing with one set of underwriters or one bank products and programs. Am I good?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Anyway, I made it to 12 o'clock and I see the daggers in people's eyes because I think they're hungry, but we're here. I'm available to answer any questions. You're going to hear more from us on a regular recurring basis. But again, we want to be here, add value to you guys. We want to show up in all your buyer presentations. If you guys want us to have conversations with them early on. One last thing we're doing, and this is working with the seller side, we're calling proactively. Some of the seller agents call us going, hey, how good is this pre-approval letter? And I would say, just knowing, so my previous experience before doing this, I ran Norcom Mortgage. Some of you guys may have heard it, but we had 150 loan officers in Connecticut. And I can tell you, part of the reason why we're doing this is half, probably 3/4 of the pre-approval letters you guys are getting and submitting with your offers aren't worth the paper that they wrote it up on. These loan officers don't know. My whole job was to recruit, educate, and train them. And I could tell you it's much easier dealing with the team that we have, because don't let your transactions go sideways. So any other mortgage related questions? No. Lunch? Who's next? Where do we? And I will also say, from a closing attorney perspective, the reason why we joke and say that Larry's worth the values, trust me, when we deal with some of the other closing attorneys in the state, between Joanne and Larry, not everyone is as flexible or reliable or dependable, especially when we get around holidays, weekends, things that happen at the last second. Something always comes up. So working with a team that we partner well with, we probably do 75 to 80% of our transactions with them. So the team works really well.
That's all back into buyer experience, right? That's what you guys, when you're talking about value and what you're bringing, having good solid team members and helping you bring value to you, it's a good experience for a buyer, which all then in turn is going to be more referrals and more business on the road. So that's our overall goal, I think, is what he's saying too. What I've picked up from everybody else is providing a good experience and value to the borrowers. And that's why knowing you work that, knowing that you have a good team behind you, that's something that you can sell to your clients as well.
BJ didn't give me any of his coffee, but I talk really fast. Way too nice. You're way too easy on Ryan, so. What are we, lunch here? Do we have Sally's?
No, so we wanted to support Sally's, which is our neighbor, but I hear it takes like 3 hours to make a pizza, so. Even though we called them like 3 weeks ago, 3 hours wasn't long. We got the second best alternative. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anybody have any questions? Comments? Not saying. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
So there's cheese on the left.